Gotta talk fast. Gotta talk fast. Gotta talk faster, faster, faster. Gotta talk fast.
Welcome to an oral review of Archie Comics Sonic the Hedgehog, reminding you not to buy the giant buckets of emergency food from online supply stores that prey on your sense of doom. Do the homework of finding meals that you like, fill you up, and are nutritious. Not the pre-made meals, but ones you already know how to assemble and cook. Store what you eat and eat what you store. Look into buying a food vacuum sealer. Meat that is properly sealed and frozen immediately when bought can last more than 2 years. Just an extra box of pasta or beans or canned tomatoes from your paycheck each time. Slowly build a shelf in a cool and dry part of your home where sunlight doesn't hit the food. This isn't panic buying. This is smart and responsible anticipation of events like bank runs, supply shortages, and pandemics. Whatever you do, don't buy the Patriot food buckets. They're called suicide buckets in the prepper community for a reason. I'm Nick, and except for this intro, I wrote the script.
And I'm Dominic, and except for this intro, I haven't read any of today's script.
Their freedom buckets are, I don't like that.
Patriot buckets, yes. It's a website which you should not go on because it's
that's an actual website?
It's an actual website. It's like My Patriot Bucket or something. You can look at it to like laugh at it, but do not buy from that.
I just need to look at it now. Patriot Bucket.
Just look that. I don't know the exact web address, but if you look up My Patriot Bucket, all one word.
Patriot Bundle. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. I'm not going to do this right now.
It's so silly.
Because I don't know if I'm even looking at the right thing.
Yeah.
But
regardless, it's such a...
Buy
it really
rice,
does
buy
prey on
beans. There's a reason why it's been a staple of humans for literally thousands of years.
Yes.
You know what else has been a staple of humans for thousands of years? Sonic the Hedgehog. He's
specifically
eternal.
in Kidness. In Kidness.
Yeah, in Kidness. That was a better joke. I wish I thought of that. It would have been a better segue, too. We got to redo this and make it seem like I came up with that on the spot.
So we are reading Sonic and Knuckles Special, published in May of 1995. Panic in the Sky, Part 1. Script by Mike Kanternovich and Ken Penders. Penciling in Chapter 1 by Art McWhinney, and penciling in Chapter 2 by Dave Bannock. And you have one of these intro splash pages. I'm gonna... Okay, wait. You have floating island in the sky. Okay, so let's see if you can pick this one up. Let's see if I can do it.
That he's playing character named Floating Island.
A land once renowned for its great beauty. The planet Mobius is well on its way to becoming a scarred, lifeless battlefield. Thanks to the relentless acts of scientific terrorism unleashed by the evil techno-tyrant Dr. Ivo Robotnik. In this once serene plain, only one great natural wonder remains untouched by this utter devastation. The mysterious floating island. A mighty continent, the island is held aloft by the energy of a rare, powerful gem known as a Chaos Emerald. A world unto itself with its origins lost to antiquity. This sprawling, multi-zoned landmass drifts lazily above the face of Mobius, existing in harmony, yet forever apart. As enigmatic as the floating island is its guardian, Knuckles the Echidna. Last of an ancient noble race, his charge is to preserve the peace and protect the island's boundaries from the encroachment and harsh realities of the outside world. A task handed down generation unto generation. Recently host to a great battle between Dr. Robotnik and the spearhead of Knothole Village's resistance, Sonic the Hedgehog. The floating island again stands alone as safe haven from the war that rages unchecked below. But for how long? Here, on the Twilight Zone.
Okay. That was great.
Oh, thank you. Did that come across?
Yeah, no. Because I didn't know what you were doing. And immediately I was like, is he doing silent? Silent.
Yeah. Rod Serling.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So
thank you.
Great job, dude.
I was recently that show 1000% still holds up. Go watch the original Twilight Zone,
except for the racist episodes.
I mean, those are, you could laugh at that one.
Yeah.
Prologue. The prologue. No, I won't do it the whole time. The western coast of the great continent, 12:17 p.m. Though prone to earthquakes, mudslides, fires, and floods, it remains one of the few regions on Mobius to remain unscarred by conflict. Here, the natives can frolic and romp without care. Or at least they could. A giant floating island appears over the coast. Panic washes over the population. We cut to Rotor debriefing Sally, Antoine, and Buns. Gosh, the landmass was sighted several hours ago. That's how I get into character, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
The landmass was sighted several hours ago as it crossed over into our airspace. Witnesses claim the sky was falling, though from what I can tell, exactly the opposite is true. Amazing. Any idea what's keeping it aloft, Rotor? I couldn't tell you, Princess, but I do know this. According to my readings, it's headed straight for Knothole Village. Sonic and Tails waltz into the command center. They look at the floating island and immediately recognize it. Tails and I first came across this hunk of airborne rock a few months back. We crash landed and ran afoul of Knuckles the Echidna, guardian of the local Chaos Emerald. That's what keeps the island afloat. To put it mildly, he took an immediate and profound dislike to us. But afterward, we'd hashed things out a bit, and we parted on friendly terms. Sally remarked that it's impossible to tell whose side Knuckles is on, and that until his intentions are clear, it's best to assume the worst. She instructs Antoine to grab the turboprop plane and fly Sonic and Tails to the island. Antoine flies their plane to the island, escorting Tails and Sonic. However, the island has undergone some upgrades since our last visit. The underside of the floating island is covered in 80mm guns, akin to what you'd see on a World War II destroyer. They start shooting at Antoine. Antoine is weaving in between explosions. Antoine flies above the island, above the range of the artillery, and Sonic and Tails jumps out of the plane and skydives safely onto the surface. Tails asks what they're looking for. Sonic replies that he doesn't know, but is sure they'll know where they can find it. Off in the distance, we see a shadowy figure covered in shadow, his eyes glaring. I just want to say...
Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, okay. Genuine question. Should we do British or should we do Brooklyn?
I don't think we can do British. I understand why you think we should do British, but considering the fact we already have other... It's written with the intent of Brooklyn, and also we already have a British character that will be coming in and out, and Lord knows we can only have one.
Do we have any
It'll
other
get too
Brooklyn?
Confusing otherwise. What'd you say?
Do we have any other Brooklyn characters? No.
Not that I can think of. Mario, if he ever makes an appearance.
Yeah, that's true. No, that'd be this, you know. Okay. So I have not done this Brooklyn yet. Okay. So like, I'm going full on Danny DeVito, which I don't know if that's Brooklyn or not, but you get it.
You know, honestly, that would have just been better casting to begin with if they just had Danny DeVito be Knuckles.
In the movies, in the recent movies? Okay.
Dude, everything. From the games, from Sonic Adventure, they should have went and got Danny DeVito.
Detective Pikachu, the movie, that should have been Danny DeVito.
Yeah,
that would
of
have
course.
been absolutely perfect. Okay, here we go.
Agreed.
They're back. They knew.
Fuck, man.
I knew they would be sooner or later. Everyone wants a piece of the floating island, but all these two are gonna get is a piece of the rock. Ken Penders in his commentary specifically says Dem, Desi, and Doze. He specifically says that.
Those are great. Yeah.
Desi, so he should be like Indian, Pakistani. Okay, no. Do you know what that is? That's the term for like the gender. Okay, anyway. Sonic and Tails keep exploring, happening upon a forest of giant mushrooms. They're looking around when a giant axe sweeps across Sonic's head, barely missing him. A giant floating black bot wielding an axe is staring Tails and Sonic down. The axe bot swings his axe again. Sonic dodges and jumps atop of the bot's head, slamming the bot into the ground and destroying it. Sonic and Tails runs off, looking to explore some more, when the ground underneath Sonic crumbles beneath him. He's able to grab onto the edge of the newly formed cliff. Lucky I managed to snag this ledge, or I would have been in deep, deep trouble. Who says you're not? Hey there, you miss me? End of part 1.
How'd you feel about part 1?
Interesting setup. We got a lot of action going on here, which I don't necessarily mind. I do appreciate that we get this. Okay, so this splash page of the floating island like terrorizing the residents of Knothole, and everyone's just looking at. It's kind of like a flying. It's like 1950s flying saucer
like a flying
coded.
saucer. Sure.
Yes, 100%. And it's like looking at that spot, looking at the villagers of Knothole, a bunch of you see the junior freedom fighters on the left, and then like random ones on the right. And look, I 1000% get why this was such a boon to furries in the 90s, because
you're looking at this and you're like, I want to fuck all these.
I didn't even get sexual.
I get it too. I'm just saying.
You don't need to get sexual.
No judgment here.
But it's like that's that.
Wasn't the first furry? Sorry to completely derail your point. Like, I think the first furry was in the 70s.
Fritz the cat, I think. Okay, well, I don't know the true first furry. I'm sure a historian out there can name drop that. But
Google.
I know
because someone was the first.
As far back as Fritz the Cat, which was the first X-rated animated movie in America, or so ever. And it's X-rated for a reason. That wasn't like they're being like holier than thou. That actually deserves its X rating.
I'm not going to look into this any further. I'm just going to say, as far as this person knows, and it's a random comment on Reddit, the Aztecs were the first people to wear fursuits. And I'm just like, you know what?
Okay.
I want that to be fact. I don't want to fact check this. I'm picturing these Aztecs like getting into like jaguar costumes and whatnot and fucking. I'm like, yeah.
We're putting
canonically the Aztecs.
Massive superscript 1, but no footnote at the bottom. So we're just letting that be.
No, this is one of those things where I'm choosing to believe. This is remember in X-Files in the very first episode when he's praying in the church, and I have not seen front to back X-Files. I've only seen like smatterings of it. All you need to know is this guy. I think Scully was talking. It doesn't matter. She was just like, "Do you think your sister was like truly taken by aliens?" And Mulder was like, "I want to believe."
That's where that phrase comes from? Okay.
I think so. Yeah. It's gotta. Because I want to believe was associated with the X-Men.
Correct.
X-Files. And then just became like a... Yeah. So, yeah, they say it in the first episode. And it's actually a fantastic scene.
I would like to watch X-Files front to back, for sure.
I wanted to. I actually haven't. I started to, and then I fell off. Not because it was bad, just because life, man. So yeah, I want to believe. You were making a point, and I apologize. I completely...
That's okay.
I thought this was more important than whatever you were going to say.
It's... the style is so classic. To me, like that splash page with all those designs of characters, that is like quintessential furry drawing. I feel like, and maybe I can't say this for certain, but I have an inkling that, maybe even this splash page, but this general design, I think Art McWhinney's design this feels like the quintessential furry like design.
You know what? You're right. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm
speaking in ignorance, but it feels right to me, which is what we do often on this show.
Hey man, we just decided literally a minute ago that the Aztecs were the first ones to be furries. So I think we speak in a place of not ignorance, but facts that feel right.
You know what? Our footnotes is in the comments because we regularly get full, complete information from.
Yeah, you know what? Next episode we'll have a correction.
I do like something. There's just something really hilarious about like a situation room with Princess Sally and the other freedom fighters going like,
that was actually one of the things I was going to bring up. Yeah, I love it. Especially the Rotor being the one that's like, it definitely, Rotor has like a 180 almost feels like, where I feel like 99% of the time he's just like, haha, what's going on? And then here he was just like getting down to brass tacks and he was very serious and very much like, so this is what we know, this is what's happening. And
so he's the team autist.
Yeah, 100%. It's great. I've also decided that the West Coast is just where the Junior Freedom Fighters live. Like I've already decided the West Coast is like the alternate branch, and that's where that fucking skunk lives. And he's like the resistance movement. What was his? It was
Jeffrey
just
St. John.
Resistance. Yeah,
Jeffrey St. John, and it was like His Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, fuck off. Yeah, those guys. Yeah, I picture that being on the West Coast now because they just decided to draw that. So I love Antoine as a pilot with his pilot goggles. I think that is something that needs to happen more. Don't get me wrong, I understand that Tails is like the pilot of the group, but also he doesn't look as cool with flying goggles as Antoine does. It's the only time I've ever thought Antoine looks cool.
Lafayette Escadrille. That was the American World War I volunteer air corps before America entered the war proper. Sure. And it had a black member too, African American. African Americans in France, they loved it there so much. A lot of them didn't come back because they were like, "This is awesome. They're treating us like equally and shit." Yeah. Awesome. Because the French famously never racist. Anyway. But
name one time.
The Battle of Algiers. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So just the fact that it's like they're in the situation room, and then Sonic and Tails be like, "Oh yeah, I know 100% what that is." Was just really funny to me.
Oh yeah, that too. And immediately being like, "I wonder what makes this thing fly." Is like, I got it. But also, I love the implication of this because that means Sonic and Tails did this whole adventure and never told anyone that a floating island exists that is powered by the special stone that has like, well, I don't know if they've defined it yet, but I know unlimited energy, like incredible stuff. Just like Sonic Tails being like, "Oh, I forgot," I think.
Like there was no after action report. Like I know meetings are stupid.
Yeah, that's what these guys are missing is after action reports.
Just to share that knowledge. But to be kind of fair, that is a total Sonic move to just do that. But also they should not be doing that.
So like I'm not putting any blame on Tails. It's all Sonic.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Yeah.
The imagery though, so we will know why the guns are on the floating island. That was not a concerted thing by Knuckles. But the idea of a floating island with guns underneath it is actually really effing badass.
Oh, I think, I assume they're going to draw this in the future with the guns dismantled. And I think the comic book version of Angel Island, technically I don't know it's Angel Island.
Right. But it's Angel
comic
Island,
book, yeah. The comic book version of the floating island, I feel like should just always have guns, right? Like,
so it's isn't it implied that? So this is the comic book continuity, but I'm just even talking the games. Isn't it implied that the Master Emerald has been stolen multiple times from Angel Island?
So, well, this is a Chaos Emerald, not the Master Emerald in the comic.
Sorry, that's just some kind of... Knuckles has been duped multiple times on Angel Island?
Yes.
Yeah, you would think...
Because he's literally duped in Sonic 3.
Yes.
And then in Sonic Adventure, he's duped.
Okay.
I don't know any other like Sonic games in between Sonic Adventure and Sonic 3, but yeah, that's the whole plot of Sonic 3 is...
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and... Sorry, I'm just trying to think now.
Maybe Adventures
Yeah.
both. Okay. Yeah. It's at some point I would think Knuckles would just modernize it. I can see him being he is a traditionalist though, right? He's a tribal
but
traditionalist.
also, I think this is fucking bullshit because it's setting him up that he's the last of his kind.
Mm-hmm.
And we know they're not going to keep the guns because
Right. For reasons
just
that
not
we'll get
going
into.
to.
Yeah.
But if he is the last guardian of this emerald, wouldn't he want this whole defense system to help protect the island and the emerald? It seems fucking insane that he would get rid of this.
But I can see him being too proud for that. So then they gets into like a tribal thing, like a pride thing.
I don't think he's got that. Not here, at least.
Not here. Okay. Well, we'll see.
Maybe
we'll
in
see.
different renditions of Knuckles, but this guy,
Correct.
This guy is willing to get the shit done, as we'll find out in the next issue.
Panic in the Sky, in the next story. Yes, Panic in the Sky,
yeah.
Part 2. Sonic is still hanging on the ledge. Knuckles, figured you'd show your ugly mug sooner or later. How's it going? Oh, can't complain. Except I hate trespassers who try to turn my home into a war zone. But you already knew that. This is your second offense, and as far as I'm concerned, you can take the fall. Knuckles starts stepping on Sonic's fingers. Hey, Moldy Locks!
I don't get it.
Yeah. Oh, like the Moldy Locks, the
Yeah.
insult. Well, he's got.
Oh,
got, like,
is it supposed?
his dreads are like locks.
Yeah. Where's the mole part coming from?
That's just a generic, like, you're smelly, right? Just he's 4 years old. He's 4 years old.
So his insults are allowed to not be good.
Yes.
I was thinking, like, is he implying that he's like a mole because Knuckles likes to dig?
No.
I don't know if Knuckles
well,
even like
shit. Maybe. I'm
the
more
D.
inclined.
the D. So I think he's trying to say mold, not
Yes,
mole.
but it could also be gold because it's Goldilocks, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're not wrong.
This is important. Okay, Knuckles looks up and sees a rock falling onto him. He dodges the rock, but tumbles onto the giant hole with Sonic. Sonic and Knuckles fall onto a rock that is floating in a pit of acid. Sonic and Knuckles start fighting on said rock when Tails swoops in and flies Sonic and Knuckles back up to the surface. Knuckles thanks Tails, but immediately starts to say that Tails and Sonic need to get off the island. Sonic points up to the sky, and Knuckles realizes all the stars are in the wrong place, which means that the island has been moved. Sonic informs Knuckles that whoever moved the island moved it above the secret above-ground village of Knothole. Knuckles has a realization. Fooled again!
Sorry, I think I'm gonna laugh every single time you talk as Knuckles. I love that voice so much. That's so good.
The floating island has been turned into a flying fortress. But who? They won't get away with it. Fasten your seatbelts. It's gonna be a bumpy night. Knuckles flips a bush open, revealing a metal chute going into the Chaos Chamber, which is at the heart of the floating island. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails hop down and enter a room full of geodes, and at the center, a green Chaos Emerald with a laser shooting at it. Energy siphons? Drawing power from the emerald? These weren't here before. I wonder where they... A giant floating head of Robotnik suddenly appears. Good evening, gentlemen. I've been expecting you. Spill it, boar breath. Why'd you turn this island into an battleship? Isn't it obvious? Oh, Jesus Christ, what a paragraph. Isn't it obvious? No, of course not, for only I have the vision to recognize the floating island's vast, untapped strategic military potential. Since discovering its existence, literally hundreds of hours have been devoted to Operation Flying Destroyer. Phase 1 involved attaching a mobile command base to the island's foundation and unleashing a series of paradroids. Complex, automated mechanisms designed to refashion its shape from tropical paradise to engine of destruction. And speaking of engines, using power from the Chaos Emerald to fuel them, I began to move my freshly armed weapon of war due east towards the Knothole village. In mere moments, once the island is directly overhead, the shock cannons mounted along its underside shall fire. And then, Fwavoom! I owe you a debt, Echidna. If you hadn't kept these two occupied, they might have arrived in time to save the day, as always. But with the island already in position, there's nothing they or anyone can do to stop me. Ah, he's right. Messed up. I messed up. This is all my fault. As the island's guardian, I can't allow it to be used this way, regardless of the personal cost. Knuckles walks over to the Chaos Emerald and picks it up. Okay, so hold on. You wrote here PITS, pits. So it's like
nice.
you transferred the Brooklyn to the narrator, and he picks it up. No.
In my mind, I was always thinking like that.
You're in character when you write this. Knuckles walks over to the Chaos Emerald and picks it up. Wait, what are you doing? Exactly what it looks like, chump. When it comes to war machines, you may make them, but I can break them. Knuckles, with one hand, crushes the Chaos Emerald in his hand, staring Robotnik in the eyes. The island starts falling, and Robotnik, who has been in a ship on the island this whole time, flies away. The fool! He forgot they were 8 miles high. Now Knothole Village will be destroyed without me having to fire a single shot. We cut back to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Is he gone? Oh, he's gone all right. Real gone. Good. Knuckles pulls out a second Chaos Emerald and places it on the mantle of the previous Chaos Emerald. The island immediately stops colony dropping and reverses back into the sky. Later, we see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles talking on the floating island. Maybe next time, I'll look before leaping to the wrong conclusions. Spoiler, he doesn't. Hey, it was an honest mistake, and you came through in the end. Lucky for us, you had that spare Chaos Emerald, Knuckles. What spare? That was the real one I put back. Removing it caused the island to fall, but I smashed the fake. I didn't see him make the switch. Neither did Robotnik. Sonic tries to get Knuckles to join the Freedom Fighters, but he's got his own problems and responsibilities. Tails grabs Sonic and they fly back to Knothole Village. They land and are greeted by the cheers of the Freedom Fighters. Sally asks if Knuckles will ever join the Freedom Fighters. I doubt it, Sal. I think now and forever, he's on his own. End of part 2.
What do you think? Okay, I'll start. Knuckles is objectively bad as a guardian of the Chaos Emerald.
Yes.
How does he not realize...
Wholly incompetent so far. Wholly incompetent.
Robotnik was able to install hundreds of military weapons on the island and started moving the island literally hundreds and hundreds of miles.
And he didn't feel that shit.
He didn't feel that shit. He didn't notice. The Axebot was on the island chopping down trees, and he didn't notice that. And on top of it, he's not even checking on the Chaos Emerald because Robotnik went in there and installed a bunch of energy siphoning stuff, and he never even noticed. What the fuck is Knuckles doing?
I know
he has literally one job. One, and he can't. Sorry, Knuckles pissing me off. I love Knuckles, but he's pissing me off right now.
Look. Well,
one job.
Yeah. how big do you think the island is comparative to? I'm not good with square mileage or kilometers, but in comparison to like I don't know a town.
The problem is whenever they draw the island, I feel like the scale is different each time.
Correct. Exactly. Yes.
So it's kind of whatever it needs to be. On paper, it's at least the size of Knothole Village, but we don't even know what the size of Knothole Village is. But like they show mountains on top of the island, but it's not big enough for mountains.
Yeah,
right?
with snowy peaks and everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
and like its own atmosphere. I'm looking back at the splash page with the.
I was going to say everything should be snowy if we're being.
Yeah, the atmosphere should be. Oh yeah, they should do like some atmospheric shit, where it's like hard to breathe. I don't know. Either way.
Well, I don't think does Sonic and Knuckles breathe air? Yeah, they do because Sonic.
Oh my
Sonic
god,
drowns.
yes. Yeah.
So he needs air canonically. I don't know about Knuckles, but Sonic does.
Why did you make that sound like you won that argument? Where it's like you brought it up. Okay, never mind.
I trumped it. Let me make a problem and then fix it.
Yes.
So yeah, Knuckles is objectively bad. And
also this bait and switch is really cheap from like a storytelling standpoint or like how they execute it. Because they try to explain it away, but it's like, yeah, but I'm so fast, I'm so clever and fast, you didn't see me do it. And it's like
I would have rather they just I think it would have been a lot cooler if there used to be 8 Chaos Emeralds and Knuckles just destroyed one and he had a backup and he was just like, yeah, I'm willing to do this. I think that's
I got 8.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is assuming he has all 8. I think that's just like a cooler premise of just like, hey man, if this like goes to shit, I will blow it up. I think that's a lot cooler, a lot more intense, and it's not as cheap. It's like a lot more interesting of a story, of a character moment when he's like willing to destroy the thing he has to protect, even though he has a backup. Like, rad. Instead, he's just like, I just pulled a bait and switch, and okay, whatever, fucking nerd.
I kind of wish. I mean, yeah, how badass would that be if, like, because that one specific panel where he is like, it's shattering the emerald with his hand. How badass would it have been if he had just done it straight up, no bait and switch?
Yeah.
Like, look at how angry
much cooler
he is.
Would have been if he didn't have a backup and he colony dropped the village of Knothole. For people, I keep on using colony drop. I feel like for people who don't,
you should explain that.
In Gundam, there's a bunch of space colonies circling Earth. Oh, you didn't even realize it was a Gundam thing?
No.
Yeah, and
I was like, is this a Final Fantasy thing? Is this
no. And at one point in time, the Zeon forces drops a colony, an actual space colony, down onto Earth and destroys Australia. So, pretty cool move. And we need more colony drops and things. Which is why Sonic Adventure 2 is objectively cool, because they kind of do a colony drop.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that's Gundam inspired. Something that threw me for a loop is they claim Robotnik is like a science genius, but he's using the Imperial system and not metric. I'm starting to not buy it. The fact that he's like, this island's 8 miles above the Earth. I'm like, if he's a scientist, he would never. He would never.
But he is by himself.
Do you think the last human was an American?
No, it's not even that. It's more so who did he need to like converse with? It's like, no, I think Robotnik wanted to use Imperial.
Because he just loves converting things.
Well, no, it's like the rest of the scientific community was like, no, Robotnik, you have to use metric. You can't use miles and inches. And he was like, no, fuck that. And it's like, and then he commits genocide. And then it's like, well, now
you think he killed all the humans because they were forcing him to use metric?
No, I think that's just a byproduct of it, where it's like
Okay.
it's just his
Like
stubbornness.
that was the thing that set him off. Like he was always
that
gonna
was the
do
straw. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the straw.
He was going to do the genocide, and then they're like, you gotta use metric. He's like, well, I was gonna do it next week, but today's as good as day as any.
You know, going postal. That was it, man. He went postal that night.
What was that, Michael Douglas? Oh, Falling Down. That's the movie I'm thinking.
Yeah. Which, well, yes, that is him going postal in that movie.
Wasn't there like the whole reason why it's called Going Postal wasn't there like a few
there was a rash of postal workers that went that got stressed out and went mad, and I would need to double check. I would need to double check if the phenomenon is true, but it was enough of a thing that they coined the term, and it showed up in, I think, the third or second Naked Gun movie, where they're recreating the Untouchables, the scene from the Kevin Costner Untouchables.
Are you talking about the scene with the baby down the steps?
But then Naked Gun parodies it by...
I've only seen the Naked Gun scene. I saw, but keep on going.
Oh, okay. and it's like... oh my God, it's a falling baby, like in the original movie. And then it's Leslie Nielsen like, oh no, I have to save that baby. But then it goes again, and it's like, oh no, it's like terrorists. And then it's like stereotypical like terrorists, Middle Eastern terrorists, I think, like wielding AKs, like in slow motion, shooting up the terminal. And then it's like, oh no, angry postal workers, same thing, but now it's postal workers with like machine guns shooting up the place. And then it's like, oh no. And then it's like, the baby, oh no, the president. And then they have like a Bill Clinton stand-in, like in slow motion, running down the steps. Oh no, the Pope. And then it's like Pope John Paul II. It's like, man, look,
for a younger
Gun,
generation of listeners, check out the Naked Gun movies. They hold up.
Look, honestly, so like Naked Gun, that's easy to find. Look up Police Squad, which was the original TV series.
Show.
Yes.
I have that on Blu-ray.
We need to watch. I want to watch it because it is. Oh,
it's great. There's only like 6 episodes. It so
holds
fun.
up
so
well.
Sorry to turn this into a rant about how good the Naked Gun series is and Police Squad. They do a bit at the end of every episode where they're like
freeze
you know
framing.
How shows used to do a freeze frame. They would try to do the freeze frame, but record it in live action, so the people stop moving, but like the world is still happening. So like a good example of this is the guy's like pouring a cup of coffee for the other police chief guy, and they're pouring
laughing.
And they
they're
do
laughing.
the freeze frame, and then all the coffee just starts pouring all over the dude's hand, and so he's like trying to stay there and like not scream out of pain from like his hand literally just burning as he's attempting to do this freeze frame. It's so funny. Oh man,
it's so, and his specific, that's the original Nordberg before O.J. Simpson took the role in the movies, but it's the face he does is so, it's what sells the whole gag. It's so good. Oh my God, you need to watch Police Squad. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole episodes are just on YouTube.
Yeah, probably. And if we're talking about comedies, I'm just going to throw this in there. I think Airplane is probably the best comedy ever made.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like comedies.
It was Police Squad, Airplane, and then the first one was Kentucky Fried Movie that I forget what it's.
Hot Shots?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess one of them did do Hot Shots. Yeah, so like about the 80s, they started to peter up. But either way, yeah. Anyway, that's our comedy movie rants, the classics. They're remembered for a reason.
Yeah. So I think it's really weird that they, in Rhoda's report, he was just like, yeah, we got reports that the sky was falling. And I'm like, who's reporting that? That's really bad intel. That's fucking insane. Like, whoever their intelligence like person was there, they need to be fired because it was just an island like flying, and someone looked at that and was like, the sky is falling. Sorry, I had that thought, and it just like it like I didn't know how
it's one thing very large I can see maybe from their perspective they couldn't see it, like the whole thing because it was so large, but still, it's the sky is falling. Because like to me that always reads as the literal atmosphere. I don't know.
Yeah, it's insane. Yes,
it's on par. It's on par with, speaking of comedies, what is it? Arrested Development, the first episode where the brother is panicking and he's reading the map and it's like, the blue is land.
Yes,
the blue is like literally. Michael says back, the blue is land.
Classic.
Yeah. I kind of wish this Panic in the Sky story, parts 1 and 2, was on the back half of the issue. And we got some Knuckles action first.
I agree. If you're talking about layout of a comic, we
haven't read the Knuckles part yet, the solo Knuckles part yet, which we'll do in part 2, I think.
I get that they're trying to kind of do like a reveal, but also, like, it's not much of a reveal because Knuckles is literally on the cover of the issue. So I don't know why. It's something that always weirds me out about comics. They're like, we're going to pretend this person is like, it's going to shock the audience. They're here. And I'm like, they're on the cover. What are you doing? You don't get to do this.
And it's not like a YouTube video or even a TV show where it's like, we have to retain the viewership. No, you got them. Like, they bought the comic book.
Yeah, right?
Like, they saw the cover, bought the comic, and then now it's like, you got it. You can do whatever you want now.
Yep, exactly.
I just because we're going to do a part 2 episode with the back half of this issue, right?
Yeah, I feel like we're already pretty far in. We'll do the next issue is probably going to be a little bit lighter because they're smaller stories. So, but we got some emails to fill it out, so we'll do part 2 next week.
You got it. So I just want to say that I do appreciate that the beginning of Sonic and Knuckles' relationship here, still in the early stages. I know they met once before and now they're meeting again. I do like how they are not dragging out, that implies bad, but elongating the frenemies, the friendly enemies kind of aspect of it before Knuckles becomes a full. I don't know. We don't know where their relationship goes in the Archie comics, but in the games at least, and in every other piece of media, they are two peas in a pod. They are the trio: Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. So I do appreciate how because that is how it goes, and I like this aspect of it, and I wouldn't mind them drawing it out even more. Personally,
agreed. I think you're right.
Because once he's on board, that becomes the status quo, and then he's on board. So it's. I think. Yeah.
I mean, I would picture it more, and like I feel like this is how it's supposed to be in the games too, where Knuckles is just kind of around, and when they need help, they'll go to Knuckles, but otherwise he's doing his own shit.
I honestly. So this is another instance of me mentioning Lupin the Third. I do like when Lupin the Third, they mix the gang up. It is like, okay, we don't need Goemon, the samurai guy. We don't need him for every single adventure. He can at least. I would love it if he stayed out of a whole season. And like that's something that annoys me about these comics is I want that, right? I want Buns and Sonic hanging out and going on an adventure. I want a Rotor Antoine story. That's a cool dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I will concede that they probably need Sonic in every issue, or like the majority
to sell
of them.
The issue.
So yeah. So I'll accept
that's fair.
Sonic going on adventures with everyone, but the fact that we still haven't gotten like a Sonic Antoine solo adventure, and we're 30 issues in or something, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a shame. I mean, I guess there are like 100 and something issues,
500
something like between issues. 100 and 500 issues. So maybe we might get lucky and we'll get one. But
and Antoine's backstory is the one I want to know kind of the most out of all the freedom fighters, just because it's like, how did you get to this position
so much?
Yeah, kind of.
Like, did he fail up? Was it just like he was the bottom of his like crew and everyone died but him, so he just automatically became the leader.
Was it more of a that's totally possible. Was it more of a political position where it's like,
yeah, his dad was like someone famous, or his mom, and they're just
That's
like, yeah, we'll
totally
put him
what
on
happens.
this crew. Yeah.
In every military, but other militaries way more than others. So I was reading up recently on the fall of Bashar al-Assad and Syria, and how after this civil war that's been going on for more than a decade, effectively, how did Bashar al-Assad lose Syria in like 2 weeks? And it's like there's a myriad of reasons, but one of them is corruption. And
the other is
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I was just reading on this too, was he didn't have a giant floating island fortress.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, and he didn't have any Chaos Emeralds, which is also part of the reason why it fell within 2 weeks. Sorry, continue.
All he had was mustard gas, and that's lame.
Yeah, it's been out of vogue since World War I. Grow up.
Saddam tried bringing it back in the 90s, but
yeah, it didn't go well for him either. Look who's dead and who's alive. That was cringe. Yeah, agreed. Cringe. Mustard gas. Cringe.
And one example of that corruption in the Syrian army is that they tried to what's called coup proofing, where it's like, okay, I am a dictator and I'm worried about my military coupping me. So I need to coup proof them by splitting up their power, mixing up the officer corps so that they're all political appointees and whatever. So now you're protected from your own army. The issue is there's a whole other army that's an enemy against yours. And now your army is completely ineffective because you made them weak on purpose to protect yourself against a coup, amidst a myriad of other reasons. So anyway, I'm super curious as to how Antoine got his position, because it's like there are a whole host of reasons as to how he can do that. And I kind of want it to, I'm sure it's going to be a very silly and even noble one. I kind of want it to be like a shitty reason. I kind of want it to be that. You're right. He fails upwards or something like that. But then over the course of the current day of the current comic, he
becomes like a real hero.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He proves himself. He beats his own expectations.
I think we're already writing a better comic.
I do feel shitty saying that, because it's like, oh, we're writers. It's like, we're not in the shit. We're not in the trenches like the.
Well, also we don't have the weird constraints that
Penders.
Sega is putting on. We don't
Exactly.
have. That's the thing. It's just like, I'll come up with a cool story. It's like, yeah, but Sonic can't do 90% of that. He's not allowed to kill. Come on, what kind of story are you writing? This is my problem. Is I'd have him just kill Eggman, and then the story's done.
Shout out to our commenters, because there have been a couple comments in several episodes where it's like, yeah, no, they've been under a lot of pressure from like Sega or release dates or whatever. And it's like, we acknowledge it. We don't know it, and we're gonna keep talking shit, but we do acknowledge it.
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm starting to be like, I like these stories and I want them to be better. That's all.
Yeah. That's why we
they're
review
like
these
bad,
comics.
It's just like, I want them to be better.
Yeah, for their legendary status, honestly, they truly are legendary in the comics world, because it's one of the longest running. So I don't know. We'll get there. Apparently, by issues, according to Bobby Schroeder, whose list we follow, it gets real good on issue 160 when Ian Flynn joins the gang.
Supposedly. Yeah. Complete side note, I bought an electric bike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Define an electric bike. It's like a motorcycle, but it's electric, is what you're saying?
Pedal assist, so I still have to pedal, but, gets me places. Because I was like, I don't know, not to be a doomer, but I don't know how, with all the tariffs that Trump is putting out there, along with perhaps a tariff on gas, which seems like that was delayed a week or something, or 2 weeks.
The Washington Post, 18 minutes ago, Trump imposes 25% tariffs for Mexico and Canada and raises tariffs on China by 10%. So it has begun. It has begun.
Wait. Did that go through for oil for Canada?
I don't know. I just read the notification.
The headline. Yeah. Because oil was the thing I saw that he was going to maybe put a delay on because he realized that was going to... the Midwest gets all of our oil from Canada.
Yeah.
Like all, and a lot of California does too, and Washington and Oregon. So that was like going to completely, like, we don't have the infrastructure to bring it inland. So anyway, with that and all the tariffs, I was like fixing cars and everything is going to get very expensive very fast and going to be in situations where you might not have a car for a while. Mm-hmm. And we live in a very car-centric society. So I was like, I want to buy a bike so I can go long distances without being, trapped. So I bought a Class 3 electric bike, which lets me go up to 25 miles per hour, I think, or 28.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so what that does is, so it's pedal assist, so I can go pretty far. But I can like turn it on and off, so I can just like kind of use it for hills and whatnot, and then turn it off, and it's just a regular bike. It has like a range of like 60 miles or something. So I was like, yeah, I think we're getting there where I'm like, I don't know what cars are going to look like in a really weird way. Sorry, we're pretty much done with the issue. I'm just ranting.
I was literally just about to say, how is this relevant?
Yeah, I mean, hey man. I was like,
this is a new segment.
Are normally like an hour long. Let me just rant.
This is a new segment called Nick's Life.
Yeah. Hey, I'll keep on talking if people care. And whatchamacall? Yeah, I just don't know what car repair is going to look like in the next year with all these tariffs and supply chains probably going to get messed up and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to try my best to not be beholden by a car.
Yeah, that's honestly why I did the intro that I wrote, because it's like, yeah, supply chain problems. Do you remember 2020? Potentially not, because if any of our viewers are like in their teens, they genuinely may not remember how disruptive that was. I mean, in their school life, but not on a economic, level, on a personal pantry or transportation or medication. Oh my God. If you need I'm not talking Tylenol, right? I'm talking like if you specifically need a medication, you may want to, if possible, because I know insurance sucks, but if possible, try and stock up on that stuff. You don't need to go effing crazy, but maybe a couple more doses in a week in advance, if you can help it. That's just basic.
Can't do that with ADD meds.
Exactly. You cannot. So what you can, if you can, like I'm specifically thinking vitamins for certain people that have like certain surgeries that need to supplement that stuff. If possible, look into that. Start taking stock of what you truly need. Like let's say it's pandemic again, right? Knock on wood. If you can't, let's say you can't leave your home, right? For a while, what would you absolutely need in that moment for like a week, right? Or even 5 days. So start thinking about it. Just start thinking about it. Don't panic buy, right? But that's not panic buying. That's just thinking ahead.
Yeah.
And after 2020, it is absolutely not panic buying. It is now, unfortunately, evidenced preparedness. Yes.
I definitely have a bunch of canned vegetables and frozen vegetables and a bunch of pasta, rice, tomatoes, canned. I'm good for a few months if things go bad, but also, I mean, it's not going to be bad in the way of like you're not going to be able to access food. It's just going to be it's going to be constrained. Like you might be only able to buy only a few things here and there. And so you want the rice and beans to supplement potentially whatever you're able to buy.
It's going to be moderately. That's why I mentioned in the intro. It's like if there's some sharp economic, spat, or it's like a run on a certain supply, like toilet paper. But it's again, we're not doomsaying. We're not saying it's the end of the world. We're not saying Great Depression Part 2, right?
This
We're
is
not
mainly
saying that.
American-based. I know we have some foreign listeners. So
We do. So,
I
mean, at that
apologize
point,
for
you
ranting about this all the time.
Well, no, it's a global thing as well. So who the hell knows? But I mean, again, disaster preparedness is always that's a global thing. So I mentioned a food saver. I forget the brand that I have, but a food saver, it's very, very effective. Like literally, you can buy a piece of meat, like anything, steak, pork, whatever. What a food saver does, it removes the air from the package and seals it. Thank you so much. It vacuum seals it. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. You can get it for like $50. Give or take.
Get some vacuum sealers and then get a sous vide, and then you can go and plop that bad boy. Plop that bad boy right into the sous vide. Do it in the pack. Let me tell you, it ups your cooking game.
It does. But
packing some pork chop, putting some rosemary in there, and whatever seasonings you want.
Okay, talking about just flavoring, seasoning a steak or any other piece of meat, and then vacuum sealing it. It injects that shit into the meat. And then you put it in there for some time.
I wonder if you can do vacuum seal it with butter. You can freeze butter, right? Mm-hmm. So might as well vacuum seal it with butter in there, and then when you
I got 8 sticks of butter in my freezer right now. Yeah.
I don't cook steaks, but I might have to buy some and try that out. That seems like
it's not that hard.
Easy win.
Yeah.
You know what else seems like a easy win? Ending this rant. So that was
let me just finish the thing that I was trying to say is that
sure.
If you buy a piece of meat, immediately vacuum seal it and then put it in a freezer just in case, that will last for more than 2 years. Up to 2 years, and then
if they're very likely properly. So if your freezer loses power for a little bit and gets you know what I'm trying to say.
Like several days, right?
Yeah, that's why we want chest freezers. Because
that's a bigger investment and a space and money investment. So
if I had the space, I would have a chest freezer in a heartbeat.
I would too, to be frank. But that part is not as necessary. So we're talking just for a week or two of maybe turbulent whatever. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was our prepper segment. And again, we're not doomsaying. We're not saying the sky is going to fall during the next couple years.
No. If anything, there's just going to be a floating island in the sky. That will be confused and will be like, the sky's falling, and they're like, no, it's just a floating island. That's the issue. Only 395 left to go. I'm Nick. I stream at twitch.tv/mojosource. I lied last time when I said I was going to stream on Tuesday.
Yeah, you keep doing that every time you mention your schedule. You don't stick to it. So maybe just don't mention the schedule.
I was going, so I tried writing this issue and it failed miserably and I couldn't write. But that's why it didn't happen, was because of this podcast, was because I was like, I need to write. My personal blue sky is at Mojosaurus.
My personal, if you want to follow my jazz adventures in Chicago, you can follow at Blue Collar Jazz on Instagram. I am beginning to post now, and it is, and you can follow my personal blue sky at Dom Guan.
You can follow us on socials at Gotta Talk Fast. TikTok is Gotta Talk Faster. We also have a video version of the podcast where you can follow along with our with panels and watch our handsome faces. You can write into the show at sonicgrams@gottatalkfast.com, ask us questions, provide corrections, and give us your opinion on this week's issue. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.
Yes.
And remember, when life keeps going fast,
you gotta talk fast.
And just get through it. I love you.
Vacuum sealers.
Gotta talk. Gotta Talk Fast was written by Nick Folkerts and edited by Dominic Guanzon. Intro and outro themes recorded by Dominic Guanzon. Gotta Go Fast originally composed by Norman J. Grossfeld, Joseph Garrity, and Russell Velasquez.
Gotta talk. Gotta talk fast. Gotta talk fast. gotta talk fast, gotta talk fast, gotta talk fast, gotta talk fast.